Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with the folks from Acronis. We have got Kramer Snuggs, who is the Senior Security Evangelist for Acronis with us. And welcome, Kramer.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
How is your day going today?
It's going well. The weather's beautiful. The event wasn't too early, so I can't complain.
There you go. Well, hey, I think you're in the same geographical location as me. Are you in South Carolina?
I am just south of Myrtle Beach.
There you go. There you go. Well, I'm dead in the center. I'm in Columbia, so
okay,
we're having the same weather. So that's great. That's great.
I like to hear that.
So you're kind of new to Acronis, aren't you?
I am. I joined their evangelist department just a couple weeks ago, actually. So apart from that, I've got an MSP that I run here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Okay. How long have you ran your MSP?
We just hit our 4-year mark. So 4 years, 2 months or so.
So that new car smell's gone by now.
It is definitely gone.
I gotcha. Well, I think I just got a notice that Carl Polachek is joining us too. So yay, there he is. So we'll give him a minute to join us. He's got some red eyes. Hey, Mr. Carl, how are you doing today?
How are you?
Doing great.
But my eyes aren't as red in the light.
Oh, I gotcha. Awesome. Well, Carl's joining us today too. I guess you guys are doing some kind of promotion here.
I'm not. Acronis is.
Right. Well, but I think we're giving away some of your books, is what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be giving away 10 copies of Carl's book, The Absolute Unbreakable Rules of Service Delivery. So we'll be choosing 10 folks from the comment section over the next few days, those that are more active, I guess you should say, or that maybe have the best questions, and we'll be contacting them directly with a free copy of his book.
That's cool. That's great. Well, so we are really here today to learn about the Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud. And I understand, Kramer, you're going to be going over a live demo with us today.
I will. I'll actually be using somewhat of a production environment or what we consider our own internal demo environment. So I don't, I'm kind of so new with Acronis, I don't have the official demo environment to show you guys, but it might be a little better, in my opinion, to show you kind of what we're using on a day-to-day. So sure. We'll go over that for sure, and some of the use cases that my company has had utilizing Acronis.
That's excellent. Well, we're excited to dive in, and I kind of agree with you. If you can see a live production environment, it kind of it's not made up or anything. I mean, what you see is what you get. So
that's exactly
I
right.
like that. Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, Kramer, Carl, I asked Kramer earlier how his day was going. So it's only fair that I asked you how yours is going.
Well, good. It's been, one Zoom call after another for 18 months. So
I can relate.
Another day in the woods.
There you go.
Carl, where are you located? You look like you're in paradise.
I am in paradise. I'm in Sacramento, California.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. When I moved into this office, I had this mural painted in the back. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I've got the rug in front is kind of that grass mat type rug. So it feels like I'm on the beach all the time.
Very nice.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's got to help you with your mood too. If I had that behind me all the time, I'd always be in a great mood.
Well, it does help.
Good deal.
Plus, I can always just go hang out on the beach.
Sounds like a plan. Well, Kramer, are you excited to get into this demo with us? I know I'm ready.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right.
I'll be in the chat, and I'll just mute.
All right.
I'll go ahead and share my screen here as well.
Okay.
See if this will go like it's supposed to.
Let me move this down.
Move this to the side here. I assume you guys can't see that. So this is actually a tenant dashboard. So just because this is our production environment, I can't really go back to the multi-tenancy and show you, but typically you would have one of these screens of this nature, for each client, your IT partners that you set up, they would have one of these for each of their clients. And so this is kind of the main dashboard, if you would, for a singular client. I do want to emphasize that. You can see here, this is actually an older production environment that we've run. So a lot of these things have not stayed up to date. You can see some of the cyber fit scores are a little low, and I'll kind of jump into that and what that entails. But it does give you a good overview here. We've got some laptops that are currently offline. We've got some laptops and some desktops that are currently up and running. We've got some Hyper-V VMs that are running. We've got some servers running. So a little bit of a mix of everything, device-wise. I do not have any Macs running on here, but I will say that it is, fully compatible with the iOS and this, that. I also don't have any mobile devices running on here, but we do have the ability to back up Android and iOS mobile devices. So I do like to throw that out there. I just don't, we don't personally have any internally that we're doing.
So on the iOS devices, does it just back up data, or does it do like an image backup of the device itself?
No, it is only doing the data. So you can choose your photos, it gives you a whole list of options there. But I would hope, I'll say this as an MSP, not an Acronis employee, but I would like to see, down the road, to have that ability for that full image backup, if it's something that Apple would even allow.
Gotcha. There might be a restriction from Apple on that too, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I've personally heard of a backup solution, I guess, for iOS outside of Apple, but if it's possible, I definitely would like to see it down the road.
Very cool.
For this example, I'll just use actually one of my desktop computers here, and what we'll do is we'll jump into the protect option. Before I move forward, though, one thing I would like to say is the simplicity of the dashboard. For me, as an MSP owner, onboarding employees and trying to train them on this, the flow of it is just it's almost what is it? It's just everything's really obvious, I guess I should say. So when we hire somebody, getting them trained on how to get in here and check backup, set up a machine, whatever it may be, is extremely simple. We've seen a really good success with that. And I won't mention any previous software that we ran or anything like that, but in the past, one of the reasons that we did make that switch was because of the difficulty in training those staff members. So when I started using Acronis, it was called Acronis Cyber Backup when I first started using it. And really, we only had the backup option. There were a couple of smaller options that you see on the screen, but for the most part, it was just backup. Now, in the last year and a half, I guess, maybe 2 years, we've made that switch to Acronis Cyber Protect. And the reason for that is because we're not just doing backups anymore. Now we're doing actual cyber protection. And so it was important to kind of brand the platform for that purpose. But you can see here, I'm doing, for this client itself, I'm doing backups. I'm running antivirus and anti-malware. I'm doing URL filtering, which I actually came to really, really love that they had that feature in Acronis. And I'll tell you a little bit more on where that came from in here in just a few minutes. We're doing a vulnerability assessment. We now have the ability to do patch management, data protection maps. We've got, which is just scanning different extensions. And then obviously device control, which is actually going to allow us to whitelist, certain USB devices. It also has that ability for the remote control that comes along. Now, traveling to a lot of the events with Acronis, one thing that I have heard is, well, I really want to use Acronis for backups, but I'm not so sure that I want to, put all my eggs in that basket and start using antivirus right now as well. Or, we've got a really good antivirus software that we're using, and we're not looking to make a change. That's really simple. If we come in here to edit this policy, we actually have the ability to tick any of these boxes that we don't want to utilize. So if we don't want to use antivirus on this machine anymore, we just hit the button and turn it right off. So it's super simple to customize. Maybe based off of what the customer's paying or what you guys are wanting to utilize the software for. we have that ability to kind of just quickly shut and enable and disable different services, directly from the device level.
Well, Kramer, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes, sir.
So before you get too deep in this, I want to make a point that I'm seeing here, because this is the first time I've seen Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud.
Okay.
I read someone put a post in the group earlier that, and I want you to help me. Now that I'm seeing this, that post is totally inaccurate. They basically said that the Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud was nothing more than True Image backup. The old Acronis True Image. And did you see that same post earlier?
I did.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing here, this is not True Image. This is totally different. This may have an aspect of True Image in it, but this looks like everything all in one.
Sure. And I don't have a copy of True Image, like the most recent version of True Image. But what I will tell you is a lot of the features that you're seeing right here on Cyber Protect have actually been implemented into True Image. So now True Image does have the ability to be your antivirus and your anti-malware platform. It does have the ability to do the URL filtering. I don't want to speak too much on it. I don't utilize True Image the way it's been.
Sure.
It's probably been about 6 or 7 years since I last used True Image. So I would be doing an injustice to speak on it too much. But yes, that name change from Acronis True Image to Acronis Cyber Protect, that is because they have truly implemented so many more features into the software.
It's not just backup.
It's not just imaging and backup anymore. It is a true cyber protection, cybersecurity platform.
Well, the name makes sense.
Yeah. Now the Cyber Protect Home Edition, that was a first for me. I haven't heard that the True Image, if it has officially changed titles. But it was a matter of time, in my opinion, just because it would have done it an injustice not to, include that Cyber Protect title. So that
Sure.
would be the explanation on that. Let me cut that back on before I regret that down the road. So I'll speak on the URL filtering right here. We had a customer that we onboarded a little over a year ago, I guess, and they had recently been hit by a ransomware attack. The short end of this story is the Secret Service had gotten involved. A lot of people had gotten involved. There was a lot of credit card numbers that had gotten published onto the dark web. And we got involved towards the tail end when they were rebuilding the environment. They were going to utilize us as their managed security services provider. The machine was rebuilt. It was installed back on site, and everybody had kind of signed off on it and said it's ready to go back into production. We had said, okay, we want to throw our Acronis software on there. We want to do a couple of scans. We're taking on the responsibility here. We'd like to double check it ourselves. And so we threw the Acronis software on there. Within 5 minutes, we were getting hundreds and hundreds of URL filtering alerts coming in. And what had happened was the software provider had actually copied the files from the infected system and threw them on the new system, thinking that I'm not sure what the thought process there was. But long story short, there was still a phone home taking place trying to pass credit card numbers back over. The minute we did this, the URL filtering actually stopped that. So nothing at the moment was at risk. We had them take the machine back out, rebuild it completely, and put it back in. But the moral of that story is, had we not been running that URL filtering through Acronis, I'm not sure that would have been caught by anybody. Everybody else's software was saying, hey, it's clean, it's good to go, there's no question. So I learned to really love that URL filtering, and we've utilized that on every machine, ever since. So
very cool.
That's just a quick little story there. The other thing that has been they've had involved in this software, and I'm going to switch to another screen in just a second, but is what we call active protection. And the active protection is kind of wild in itself. So it's actually using AI to determine where encryption would and would not normally be taking place on a device. And it's basically, I'm gonna run through this video. I'm having to swing over to YouTube for this, but I'll kind of speak over it while it's running. So here we've got somebody that's going to run this, and that was a ransomware attack. It encrypted those files, and you could just see it there briefly for a second. I may even come back and do it again, but they launch it, the files get encrypted. Acronis says, wait a minute, encryption doesn't normally take place there. It reverted all of those files back to the way they were and killed the process.
Oh.
And what we're going to see is they're going to jump back in here. So it's basically sent us a notification in the dashboard now. On this machine, active protection, was initiated. We reverted the files using the cache. We killed the process. Somebody needs to follow up on this. And this is a really interesting one because over the 3 or so years that we've been using Acronis, this has happened quite a few times where our customers would have been locked out, encrypted. We would have been in hot water, but because of the active protection, it was able to revert those files back to where. Now we've got an ad playing here. Sorry about that. We were actually able to revert those files back and prevent the damage from taking place.
So it works kind of like an EDR.
Similar, yep. And you don't actually have to tell it to revert the files. So we've got a couple of different options. Let's see if I can nail this right where it's supposed to. Yeah, so like right here for my device, I'm telling it to revert using the cache. We have the ability to kill the process, or excuse me, we have the ability for it to not do anything except notify us, which we don't do that anywhere.
Right.
We have the ability to stop the process, but don't revert the files. And then we have the ability to kill the process and revert those files using a cache. So
very cool.
Yeah, a very more of a reactive, I guess you would say, policy built in, but extremely powerful to say the least.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's been a part for some time. We have we've obviously got crypto mining detection. So if somebody was trying to mine from their work PC after hours, or if there was some sort of a breach that somebody else was doing some crypto mining. So there's apart from the antivirus and the anti-malware, we've got some other really cool features there as well.
So now on the crypto mining part, I can't see anybody logically wanting to use a desktop, a workstation to mine for crypto. I understand you got to have like 3 and 4 major big heavy duty cards to do that. Would that also work though if your machine was like if the machine, the endpoint, was a part of a larger scale attack that they were using other people's machines to mine? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. So for that, it's we've really got 2 types of crypto mining that takes place. There's
Okay.
CPU, so like the processor mining, and then there's also graphics cards mining. From my experience, and again, this is just my experience, when we see a crypto mining attack of that nature on a large company, what would happen would be they would remain as low key as possible, obviously, not to be detected. And they would use the processor to mine cryptocurrency, as opposed to the most common today, which would be, obviously the graphics cards,
Sure.
We've seen them surge the price of GPUs out the roof. But we would see that on a large scale using the processors within a business to mine crypto, which one single processor, not very powerful, but if you go and snag 500, 700,
Sure.
CPUs, mine on them simultaneously, it could be profitable. I mean, you're not paying the power bill either. So,
Sure. That makes total sense.
Yeah. And so it will detect that, kill those processes as well. I've only seen that take place once, but we got the alert, it was reverted, and it kind of went away. So that was good. We've now added the ability for, and let me drop this box back up. We've added the ability to do our patch management, which at first when I saw that, I'm like, hey, I have an RMM tool. What real need do I need for the patch management on built into my cybersecurity platform? But as I looked into it a little more, let me tell this to cancel all that. There's a thing called threat feed. Now, I'm based here on the coast in Myrtle Beach. We service clients in 13 states. We've got a large presence here in Myrtle Beach. We've got a large presence on the Gulf of Mexico. Every year, I can almost guarantee that I'm going to have to prepare for some sort of a hurricane, whether it be here or on the Gulf. And that's where the threat feed comes into play. So here you can see that there's some information, referring to the most recent ransomware. We've got some. It looks like everything is kind of vulnerabilities or exploits. But say there was a hurricane headed to the United States or to one of my territories, it's actually going to come up and notify me of that. And what that's going to do is allow me to click on that information, and it's going to show me the details of it, and it's going to tell me the recommended action. So for this one, I don't think I've got anything running Active Directory in this environment. So I'm not sure how, but basically it's telling me that it wants to run an anti-malware scan right now and back up any protected machines off their normal charts. So, but let's call it a hurricane, if you will. Maybe we only back the client up once a week. Maybe we do it daily. Hurricane's on the way. I go here and run recommended actions. It's going to back up all of those critical systems right there on the spot. So I don't have to wait for the next cycle to take place or whatever that may be. The same with these vulnerabilities that you see taking place here. If there's a patch that maybe takes care of it, I was looking to see if one of them showed a patch in there. Yeah, right here, patch management. So basically, if there's a patch that goes along with that vulnerability, it's going to identify that. I'm going to run a vulnerability assessment, and then I'm also going to run a patch on any machine that is lacking of that patch within that environment. So once I noticed that and kind of put those together, it made a lot more sense to, and now we actually run all of our patching through Acronis now. So we've cut that feature off of our RMM tool, pretty much across the board. The newest thing we've got is email security. Due to the nature of this being a production environment, I cannot dive into that in real time, but I can tell you a little bit about what goes along with that. So we're using this for all of our clients, and basically all of their emails are, whether they're Office 365, G Suites, whatever they may be, their email is flowing through the email security gateway built into this platform. And it is looking for any kind of phishing, any kind of spam, a large number of attacks that could come via email. And it's pretty effective. Let me see, I think I have, this is a real-time report. I don't know if y'all can see this.
So it has to be tied into the Office 365 tenant for that, right?
It does, using like MX records, and then we're doing some mail filtering and some mail routing through there. But the dashboard this would be at the top of your dashboard. This is a newer client that we just onboarded. This is a real client. You can see, that six emails have come in. They have been flagged for anti-phishing. The software has actually gone into that user's mailbox and deleted the email in full. I have the ability to.
I don't think we're seeing the same thing.
Oh, you know what? I think it's because of the way that I am sharing my screen. Let's see if I change that.
There you go.
Okay, now you can see it. So you can see that 6 emails that were flagged for anti-phishing. They came through the filter. They said, okay, this isn't trustworthy. The software actually went into the end user's mailbox and deleted that email for them. So they don't even, we don't even have to wait for or hope that the client's not going to click on it, even though, maybe there was a big red box at the top or something of that nature. So, and then of course we've got some anti-spam, some threat intelligence. There's a couple of different options here. I am still green to this, but we actually, simultaneously to them launching this, we onboarded a new client that had just been a victim of an anti-phishing, or not an but of a phishing scam, where someone in their office did in fact transfer about $150,000 to a fraudulent bank account. And had we been utilizing this software, we would have been able to detect that it was a phishing email. It's funny, we actually onboarded them to the software. 2 weeks later, the perpetrators tried to send another email to the same inbox, trying to carry on the same scam that had already taken place. And our software actually flagged it the second way around, deleted the email, and notified us. So
very nice.
It's now we can see where the name changes truly come from with Cyber Protect, because there's been a lot of changes within Acronis in the last year and a half, 2 years here.
Well, yeah, it's not just imaging a hard drive, cloning a hard drive.
Lots of changes, and they've been working on this technology for quite some time. This is this technology that they've been developing goes on, well over the last 5-6+ years now. So it certainly has been in the roadmap there.
Well, you used I don't think you used the term, but I think what you were getting at is the software is the GUI is very intuitive. And I can see that as you're going through everything. It's very easy to understand,
Yep.
which is nice.
Acronis has several different tiers of training that you can send your engineers and your technicians through. If you hit it at the right time, they'll actually give it to you almost like free of charge.
Wow.
I think they do that I'm not sure. Again, I think it's every quarter that they'll put your staff through some training with this software free of charge. I don't know how long that'll continue going on, but we've utilized it in full. But without that training in itself, the simplicity, like I said, I could throw a technician in here on one of his first days, maybe an hour or two of an engineer working with them, but they can pick it up pretty quickly and really run with it. It's very intuitive. Let's see. So that in a nutshell that's about as far as I can dive on the actual dashboard itself. There are some other features.
Sure.
And, I know they do we've got lots of trials that you can run, this, that, or the other, that you can really deep dive into some of those other features that are available.
Well, I want to kind of go back to what you got on the screen right now, where it's talking about the Exchange proxy cell remote code execution. At the very top, you kind of pointed out it tells you what to do if there's a patch. That's so much better than the technician having to look at an article that says click here for the recommended things you should do, and then apply these things in this order. You just hit a button here. That's so much nicer.
Yeah. I remember the days of digging through KB articles and trying to figure out what patches needed to be applied and this, that, or the other.
But this patch doesn't work if you have this so-and-so installed. And it's kind of like
supersedes that or it's a nightmare.
Just let the software figure it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So one of the other things about Acronis that really caught our eye from the get-go is that we had invested in our own storage. In a co-location, we had all of our own storage available, and it was important to us that we continued to utilize our own storage. We didn't really want to move to Azure or Google Cloud or AWS. We weren't looking to do that. We had made the investment on our own storage. We were very comfortable with it. So when we were looking for a solution, that was important to us, that we could utilize our own storage. And what we ran across Acronis, that's how we kind of tracked it down, was looking for that. So we have this thing called cyber infrastructure, and we basically have stood that up in our own data center and built that out so that all of our clients are backing up to our own internal storage. We have the ability to back them up to any of the major cloud providers, including Acronis's data center. They'd probably be disappointed in me not mentioning that. Acronis has several data centers around the world that you can actually utilize for your backups. But we've got it a little bit different. What we're doing is we're doing all of our backups to our own storage. And apart from that, annually, well, it depends on the client, I guess, but maybe quarterly, maybe annually, we're doing a backup from there to the Acronis cloud as well. So we utilize our storage all year round. Every quarter, once a year, maybe we'll do a full backup up to the Acronis cloud. But for some of our clients, they'll say, well, I want to, let me see if it'll edit this. We want to do backups to more than one location. Maybe we want to do it to our own. I've got some agents out of date up there. That's what the big red flag is. But we've got, we want to back up to our own cloud, and we want to back up to the Acronis cloud, and maybe we also want to do a third local copy to the client site. Well, we have the ability to do that. We can choose replication plans, in which we may have to go here to a new policy, but we can choose up to 5 separate replication locations. So whether it be 3 on-site locations and 2 cloud locations, whatever it may be, we can actually replicate that backup into multiple different directions for redundancy.
And locally, on site, it can be, to an external or a NAS, right?
an external, a NAS. Let me see if I pull
or
it
a
right
file
here.
share.
Yep. Let me see if I pull the location. They've changed this on me here recently as well. But let me look at where to back up. You can see you can really dig into these things and
Get really granular.
yeah, very, very granular. Let's see if I, there it is. Where to back? I totally blew right past it. We can go to add a location here. We can choose a network location, a folder. You know, so we can add we can add a plethora of different locations to that.
Great.
One of the other things that I should have mentioned off the gate was how compatible it is across, and I've got to move this little window here.
Across different OSs.
Across different OSs, so we can do an Active Directory deployment just like that. You know, if they're running Windows, we've got our Windows and our Mac workstations, Windows and Linux servers. There's that mobile devices that I was telling you about. As far as virtualization hosts, we've got a whole slew of VM hosts that we can run to, all the way down to like Red Hat virtualization, which
Wow,
I'm few and far between with. Then we've got the application-based backups. So if your client's using SQL or if they're using Active Directory, one thing that we had found in the past was restoring an Active Directory backup. Majority of the time, we would come into a completely stale environment where, yes, we were able to recover the server, but Active Directory was not able to operate correctly.
Gotcha.
So by using this specific agent, it ensures that when you do have to do an Active Directory recovery, that the data is intact to the point where the domain is still going to function. You're not going to end up with a whole, you know, slew of stale data there. We've obviously got our Office 365 backup, which will cover everything from email to calendar, SharePoint, the whole nine. And then there's also we've got a lot of, it's not enabled right here, but we've got the option for, you know, Google Workspace. So everything across the board on Google Workspace, you would be able to back up as well. Yep, that's it. So very elaborate. I mean, it covers we don't have any device that a user's or a client is utilizing that we're not able to, you know, use Acronis for. I don't have to manage two separate backup platforms to take care of, you know, one job. And then of course we've got the new cybersecurity features. So very powerful.
Yeah, like I'll say it again, it is not, you know, true image backup. It's not a clone tool or something. It's so much more than that now.
Yeah.
So, and true image was great. I've used
yeah.
it over and over and over again. So I definitely was very familiar with true image, but yeah, the original true image had nothing on this. So
yeah. True Image was extremely reliable. We used, when we were deploying years and years ago, when we were deploying True Image, we tried a slew of options, but it seemed that True Image was the most consistent and reliable imaging software that
Yep.
we had trialed out. So I'll cut this from my screen here, and we can just be able to chat at this point. So
sure.
Apart from that, we'll talk about some of the features and some of the opportunities that an Acronis partner would be able to utilize. And that goes to training. I did mention the training that Acronis has. They've got several different tiers that you can go through. But they've also are offering their partners some additional training. Are you familiar with Eric Simpson?
Yes.
Or you know, we've obviously with Carl. We've got Carl. We've got some of his training. Rayan, I'm probably going to mess this up, but Rayan Buccianico.
I think that
Buccianico. There we go. They offer their mastermind and training courses at no cost to their partners. And so one of the things that I did was towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, I actually ran through a MSSP mastermind course with Eric Simpson. At the time, my company was making a shift to cybersecurity, but we were kind of just kind of getting started, kind of on the forefront of that. But we took his course, and whether it be looking for master agreement contracts, whether it be looking for new proposals, service agreements, whatever it may be. I worked with Eric directly through those and kind of rebranded the entire way that we go through our sales process. It was extremely successful for us. Our managed security services, I don't even think we got the horse with Eric, but immediately, those services started selling themselves. We saw our price per seat go out the roof.
Wow.
We were very pleased with that. So they are providing those courses, that course material to their partners through the partner portal at no cost. And then of course, just to reiterate with Carl, his book that we're already giving away several copies of that today, the absolutely unbreakable rules of service delivery. I've got a copy of it on my iPad myself, and I'm looking forward to digging into that one.
Good deal. Yeah, Carl has written many books in the MSP space here, and I've got 2 or 3 of them myself. So I've got a new hire that we have just started training this week, working with our MSP, and that was what he was doing in between calls today, was reading Carl's book.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Is that nap time? Is that what's going on?
It can be. I mean, that all depends. No, it's a really, you've got some really good books, and some of them I think you've rewritten 2 or 3 times, right, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, the managed services in a month is on a 3rd edition, and
Yep.
so service agreements has been revised. I do what I can. Keeps me busy.
Well, I know you have been doing this a long time, and you are the truth when it comes to managed services, especially in a month. So that's great. So what are we going to do, Kramer, with the giveaway today? We're giving away 10 copies of which
We're
book
giving
again?
away 10 copies. Yep. So Acronis will monitor the comments and the engagement on the posting here, and
Okay.
over the next few days, reach out to some folks individually, give them a code that they'll be able to use to get a free copy of that book.
Excellent. Okay.
Absolutely.
That sounds wonderful. So what else can you tell us about, you said you were pretty green with Acronis now. I think you're a week or 2 in?
About 2 weeks in now.
Okay. And what do you enjoy the most about working for Acronis now?
So prior to coming on board with Acronis, I did some traveling to events and got a chance to meet with partners. And I think that's probably my favorite part about being involved in the company now is, one, having some real life experience with the platform and being able to come back to the team and say, okay, these are some things that maybe we should look into, or some changes that we should, have. That's one of my things. But my favorite part of being on board with them is the community engagement, getting to talk with partners, hear real life stories, war stories about ransomware attacks and this, that, or the other. Getting a chance to hear, what their stack looks like. Maybe it doesn't include Acronis. Maybe it includes another backup product, which is fine.
Sure.
I enjoy getting a chance to hear how other MSPs and MSSPs are building their success and how it's going for them.
Well, I don't think there's any one solution that is going to be right for everybody. I think that we all have to find our own way. And what better way to navigate everything than if we all jump together and help each other and, discuss what we're using, what we like about it. I think collaboration in the space is very important. I've always felt that way.
Absolutely. And the more and more partners that come on board and realize that collaboration is, it's essential. There's, I always say it this way, there's enough for everybody to eat. But the one way that we can truly get closer to overcoming the vulnerabilities and the risk that we all take on a daily basis is by working together. There's no vendor that can, there's no vendor or one solution that is more powerful than the community coming together and working together to combat these things. So
that's true. Very true.
That's my favorite part about, running my own MSP. That's my favorite part about being a part of Acronis now.
Well, I'm just wondering how you have time to do both.
Well, I'm a man of many hats. I've got a good team. We've spent the last probably year and a half automating as much as we possibly can, putting the right people in leadership positions, and yeah, that and I fly in, I fly out. So a lot of the events that you'll see me at, I'll be there for the at the heart of it, but I'm going right after we get done with.
And did you have an Acronis hat before last week?
Actually, yes, I did. And every time that I'll have like an internal meeting or an external meeting, and somebody will say, "Where did you get that hat?" So I got this. I actually was I'm part of the partner advisory council for Acronis as well, which is where we come together and discuss the improvements that are coming through the pipeline, or we suggest any kind of feature, anything like that. And when I joined that partner advisory council, they sent me this hat. But I'm learning there's limited numbers of them because nobody else that I talk to within the company has one.
I know. I want to know where I could get a hat. I want an Acronis hat.
This is my golfing hat now. So
Awesome.
It's interesting with the partner advisory council. A lot of times I see those with companies when they're young and before they, get funding and take off and whatever. And it's not as common with established companies that have been around for a long time. Although the stronger ones like, Microsoft still has them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you wonder whether or not they listen to the partners at Microsoft.
Oh yeah, I've been very impressed with PAC at Acronis. They've done a fantastic job of listening. Each meeting we have, we kind of address something different, whether it be customer support or service, which that'll bring me into one of my last topics that I want to touch on is support with Acronis. But I think they've done a fantastic job of hearing us out. I think they vetted out the right group of people, and they put the time and the money behind the PAC. And so I think they realize that it's important to listen to the feedback that we bring down. One of the things that I will mention as far as customer support goes with Acronis, again, I've been on board for a few years now. We have had issues come up where we needed support, and the biggest thing for me was finding the proper channels to achieve that support. So of course, we email in a support ticket if we'd like. If it's something that's not critical, we'll send an email in. But here in the US, at least, I can't speak for any other country because I'm not familiar with anything out of the US, but there is a dedicated phone number that is available 24/7. We're able to pick up the phone, call support, tell them what's going on, within a very reasonable amount of time, have somebody remoting in to our environment. This goes for our Acronis infrastructure, or our cyber infrastructure, that is. But we've got an engineer in a reasonable amount of time. Phone communication has been the best success for me, but we've got somebody ready to remotely log in, look at what's going on, review those log files, and get us back open and operational as soon as possible. So I will mention that for anyone who may be an existing partner, someone who has maybe looked at Acronis in the past and turned the other cheek for a lack of support or anything in that realm. But the best communication that I've experienced in the event of an emergency, a red alert, if you will, has been picking up the phone, calling them and saying, "Hey, this is a very high priority. We're down. I need somebody in here right now." And typically they jump right in, and it's happened at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So wow. For any of those existing partners who have had trouble with support in the past, I would suggest, utilizing that. I think they've also released a new live chat. So for those who don't want to get on the phone or don't want to email, I think you can ping back and forth through a live chat as well. So support has definitely stepped up its game over the last year or so, I would say.
That's excellent. Well, that's very important.
I know I had seen a post in the group about somebody had mentioned a lack of support or support options there. So I did want to at least touch on that.
Good deal. So it is 24/7 support?
It is 24/7 support. I'm not going to guarantee that the exact person that you want to speak to is available there, but there is somebody to pick up the phone, escalate that ticket right up,
sure.
to the right channels, and get something happening. commonly, it is common that I'll be on, working with support at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning if we've got an issue. So I can at least vouch for that.
Well, I can tell you as an IT service provider myself, when, we never want to face problems, but unfortunately it goes with the territory.
Yeah.
And like you said, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you've got a red light issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you don't want to get a voicemail,
Yeah.
or if you do get a voicemail, you want to be called back immediately. You don't want to wait till 8 o'clock in the morning for somebody to call you back. So
Yeah.
no, that's great that Acronis is got a good support team in place. So that's wonderful. Well, what anything else particularly you want to talk about with Acronis? And Carl, what's been going on in the I did want to talk to you a little bit about something that you've got on. I'll give you kind of a plug here. We're talking about regulations coming up here in the MSP space, and I understand you've got a community that you have you're starting for the MSP and regulations.
Yes, thank you. So I founded something called the National Society for IT Service Providers, and it is we sort of put out a phone call, and I said, hey, let's talk about this. Sure. And this is that we have several issues, and part of it is cybersecurity related. That there's so many attacks, and we're getting stuck in the middle, like small IT service providers and our customers. We don't have a seat at the table, and legislators are creating rules and regulations that will govern us. And so basically, part of what I want to do is to get us a seat at that table. But on a bigger scale, the organization is intended to basically promote professionalism within the industry. So very cool. We have, as you know, there are bad players out there. Some of them write ransomware. Yep. And we use Acronis to attack that or prevent that, and to get us back in business after an attack. But there are clients who say, I'm not paying for that. So if a client says, Scott, I'm not buying a backup system, I don't need disaster recovery or business continuity, you can still be held liable for it because you're the IT service provider of record. And they can say, well, I would never sue you, but their insurance company will sue your insurance company, right? Yep. So the only way to sort of get a handle on that is to increase professionalism, promote the actual, like we need to have a service first system, and then we need some legal protections. And there are people whose first reaction is no laws, no regulations. Like, okay, that's fine. But the reality is regulations are coming. They're in the state legislatures, and it's going to happen whether you participate or not. So you have to make a choice. Are you going to sit at the table or sit on the curb and watch the parade go by?
Well, and in the end, it's going to affect every one of us. So like you said, we might as well go ahead and take our seat at the table now. Right. So absolutely.
So let me just do the actual plug, which is go to NS, National Society, NSITSP, .org, and join. It costs nothing to join as a free member. We do, just within the next couple of days, we'll have a live option where you will be able to not just donate money, but also give us $100 and become a paid member. But we have over 500 members already. So, we want to make sure that people jump in, and we're forming a board, and we're going to have elections. And so, but there's a ton of work to be done.
And tell us that link one more time where people can go to sign up.
NSITSP.org.
NSITSP.org.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And what does that stand for?
In the chat, National Society for IT Service Providers.
Okay, excellent. And Kramer, let me use this as a great opportunity as well. If a member is joining us today and watching this live stream about the Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud, and they want to join and they want to get some more information, what is the easiest way that they can go and learn more, or what's the next step that they can take?
So by just hitting the Acronis website, I know you can go there. You can sign up as, I don't know if this is the official spiel I'm supposed to give you. This is how I became a member though, or a partner,
Okay.
I guess is what I should tell you. But just hitting the Acronis, you can go there, you can set up a trial. And from there, I think Acronis will reach out to you, with more information from there.
And that's just acronis.com.
That's just acronis.com now. And then
Okay.
of course, if anyone's got any specific questions or anything like that, I may regret saying this, but absolutely feel free to reach out to me. I'm in the IT business owners group. I know Amy is in there as well. And so, utilize us as a reference, or if you've got some questions or anything like that. But yeah, Gilly she just confirmed it is www.acronis.com.
Okay.
Is where you can go to get it set up as a service provider. As far as businesses go, Acronis only works with service providers, so
Okay.
that would be the best destination to hit.
Well, that sounds great. Well, if there's nothing else that we're going to talk about, I'll go ahead and close it out. I really appreciate your time today, gentlemen, and Miss Gilly. Thank you so much for joining us as well. So, I tell you one last thing before we close it. So let's go over this one more time. So the actual books giveaway, if you want to get a book, just basically tell us what you enjoyed the most about today, and whatever comment has the most likes or something like that. Over the next couple of days, Acronis is going to be reaching out to individuals.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Perfect.
Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Have a
having me,
good day.
Scott.
Thanks.